Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast, where we focus on owning your career journey and making impact through the work that you do. Whether you're looking to pivot, transition into leadership, or reimagine your career completely, this podcast is for you. We'll unpack career development strategies, leadership insights, and the mindset shifts needed to thrive in your career. Being a career changemaker means taking control and shaping your professional path with intention. I'm your host, lawyer turned career and leadership development specialist, Janine Esbrand. So if you're ready for candid conversations that are going to help you grow, keep listening. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today we are talking about an important topic when it comes to career advancement. We are tackling moving from being a manager to a leader and what that means, what is required of you, what you should be thinking about if you are making that move or you're managing somebody else that's making that move. There's a real distinction between what is required of you when you are a manager and a leader that often gets overlooked. Research by Gallup shows that 63% of millennials believe that they aren't being fully developed as leaders for management positions. So this episode is all about bridging the gap and helping you to lean in and focus on the areas that are important for you to understand and for you to develop, so that as you progress to being a leader, you feel equipped and you feel supported and you understand what it is that you need to be doing so that you can excel in the role. There is a fundamental difference between managing and leading. Managers are often the people who are focused on the processes, the systems, and delivering the results, while leaders inspire vision, they foster growth, and they empower their teams to get the job done. It wasn't until I became an entrepreneur and I started really stepping into the leadership role within my business that I understood the difference between managing and leading. Because for all intents and purposes, if you are a manager, you are in a leadership position. You're leading other people. You've got people that work beneath you. However, manager in the context which we're talking about it is more the person who is responsible for getting the things done versus the leader who is the one who is setting the vision and inspiring others to act. There is a book that I highly recommend that you read that really helped me to understand the distinction. So the book is focused on business owners, but the principles apply whether you are running your own business or you are leading within an organization. The book's called The E-Myth Revisited, and it's by an author called Michael Gerber. And he talks about the fact that if you are running a business, you are wearing different hats. You may be a solopreneur, so you have to wear one hat one day and then switch to another hat and switch to another hat. But if you're within an organization, there are different people that assume those roles. The three roles that he talks about are the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. The entrepreneur is the person who is setting the vision, who is deciding where the company is going and what is going to happen and how we're going to get there. So they're strategizing at the high level. The manager is the person who is taking that vision and thinking about how are we going to make this happen. So they will be managing the resources. They will be going out and making sure that they get the right things and line up the right team members so that the vision can be brought to life. And then you have the technician, which is the person who is just doing, right? The person who is told, here's what needs to get done. They take that, they sit down, they do their job, and they get it done, and they tick the task off their list. When we think about those three roles, and then we think about it from the lens of a workplace environment, right? You have the leaders within the organization who are setting the vision, who have their eyes on the strategy, who are thinking about what is the short term and the long term goal, what is the short term and the long term play. Then you have the managers who the leaders are leaning on to make sure that they are close to the resources and everything that is needed for the plan to be executed. And then you have the technicians. So those are the people in your team who are going ahead and getting their jobs done on a day-to-day basis. You need to really think about where are you currently sitting and where do you desire to sit. So if you are currently in a manager position and you are in charge of getting things done, your thought process and the way you approach your day-to-day work is going to be different to what is required when you are leading. And this is why there is the shift from being a manager to a leader isn't just about the promotion. It isn't just about being given the new title, being given the salary increase, being given a new desk or a new office. It's about the internal shift that has to happen when you recognize that you're moving out of one role into another. Let me give you an example of this. A client that I worked with last year wanted to secure a director position. So when we first started working together, there was an opportunity coming up and she wanted some support with preparing and positioning herself as an ideal candidate for that particular role. And so we worked together to help her to optimize her profile, helped her to really understand how to articulate the value that she was bringing to the organization, how to position herself as the best candidate. And ultimately, she landed the role that she wanted. And it was great, right? She was like, yes, I finally got promoted. I'm excited. It's all good. Then fast forward a few months and we had a catch up call and she was sharing with me how much she was struggling because she was still doing her previous role to an extent. They hadn't found someone to replace her. So she was still taking on some legacy projects and tasks that she had been doing before. And she was now trying to familiarize herself with her new remit, what was now required of her, the new territory that she was going to have to be managing, the travel she was going to have to implement, what she would need to be doing now that she was leading. And her question to me was, how am I managing all of this? Like, how do I actually execute? Because I feel like I don't have enough time. I feel like I'm chasing my tail. I feel like I don't even have time to liaise with my team members in the way that I need to. What was happening with her was that she was straddling the two. So she was still in management mode in her head. So she was still in the mode of, I need to get this done. I need to make sure it's done. I have all of this responsibility, so I need to do it. And then she was taking on leadership responsibilities because she had now moved into that role. She needed to manage people. She needed to do appraisals. She needed to make decisions. And she was feeling very stretched and concerned and unsure about what she should do next. So here's the thing. When you are shifting into a leadership role, what's important for you to recognize is there are times when you could do the task, you could finish it, you could get it done, but the question is, should you? Should you? Does it make sense for you to be doing it? Or is it the case that this should be delegated to someone else? Is it the case that you should be managing expectations better? Is it the case that you should be asking whether or not this is even a task that needs to get done given the strategic objectives for this month, this quarter, this half year? So as you move into leadership, what's important is that you create space for you to be able to think and for you to be able to analyze and for you to be able to decision make in a way that you may not have done before. So we talked about how she might take some things off her plate, what needed to be delegated, what needed to be prioritized, what needed to be deleted completely. I suggested that she use the Eisenhower matrix, which is a tool that can help you to really assess what is important and when does this thing need my attention. After we did some work around her really looking at what she needed to do and what she could get rid of, and also honoring boundaries, she was able to come up with more of a plan as to how she was going to tackle this new leadership role. When you are shifting, it's important for you to think about the mindset shifts that are required because everything starts with your thoughts, right? So if you are having thoughts that as a leader, people are expecting you to know all the answers, people are expecting you to show up all the time, people are expecting you to do all these things, if you are adopting certain beliefs and mindsets, it's going to impact how you show up and what you get done. So take some time to really think about what mindset do I need to adopt going into this role, or now that I'm in this role, or as I'm aspiring to this role, that's going to help me to be able to execute. You need to be more focused on what influences actions and results and how do I inspire other people rather than focus on just getting things done. So it's less about the doing and it's more about the being. How do I need to be showing up? And then how am I inspiring others to show up in the right way? You want to think about the fact that as a leader, you really have a dual focus. You have the ability to zoom in to what is happening right now and what impact what's happening right now is having, and then zoom out to the bigger picture, the strategy, like why are we even doing what we're doing. So the zooming in and the zooming out means that you're able to shift your perspective in a way that aligns with the circumstances. Here are some key skills that you should be looking to cultivate as a leader, or if you're preparing for leadership. Firstly, is self awareness and emotional intelligence. Great leaders need to be able to understand themselves and how they relate to the world, and also have the ability to understand others, build trust with them, and develop resilience. So, when you understand yourself, in terms of how you operate, what's important to you, how you can get the best out of your day, out of your week, out of your month, then you're able to show up with a level of intention and clarity, right? So, for example, I am a huge fan of the DISC assessment, and the DISC assessment will highlight to you what your personality preferences are, and it will tell you in the workplace how you show up or what your preferred environment is. And I find that to be very, very helpful for the clients that I work with when they're able to really take a step back and say, okay, look, there are these 4 key personality traits, styles, approaches, and I am a combination of a few of them by default. It gives them permission to just lean into being themselves. So rather than looking externally and saying, okay, if I want to be a leader, I have to have these attributes and I have to do these things and I have to show up this way. You're able to say, okay, as a leader who is this personality type or falls within this category, it makes sense for me to lead this way or that way. Or now that I know who I am and my preferences, I can communicate those to my team and I can make sure that we set things up in a way that align with my preferences so that I'm showing up at my best. That awareness makes you be more mindful and intentional about your approach to leadership. The next skill that you want to develop is strategic thinking. Being able to think strategically isn't something that comes natural to everybody, and it's a skill and a muscle that you can flex and you can develop and you can grow. One way that you can do that right now, tomorrow, right? Whatever the next task is that you have on your plate to do or on your to-do list, I want you to take a moment and consider why. Why am I being asked to do this task? What is the purpose and what does it feed into? So if you are being asked to reach out to clients by email, what is the purpose of that? Well, it may be that the strategic objective for this month is to reconnect with past clients as a way to generate more business. So you're being asked to do a specific task. You could just take that task and get it done, or you could get the task done, but be curious enough to find out how does this fit into the bigger picture. And the more you're able to get exposure to how what you're doing links with the bigger picture, the more you can start thinking at that high level and saying, okay, if our objective is X, shouldn't we be doing Y? Or if our objective is X, what Y do I need to implement? Because there's different options. Strategic thinking is absolutely key. So get into the habit of doing it before you actually need it, and that will stand you in good stead. And then thirdly, the third skill that you should really look to cultivate as a new or emerging leader is self-belief. Because here's the thing, as you climb through the leadership ranks, your external validation markers often decrease. So as you're a junior, you might get feedback from your line manager or from your team, your peers, who will say, well done, really appreciate how you did that, or that was fantastic. As you climb the ranks, you don't always have a peer group that you can lean on or speak to that is going to be celebrating you and going to be helping you to see where you've done things well. So because that isn't always forthcoming, you have a responsibility to do it for yourself. How do you cultivate belief in yourself and in your decisions? Allow yourself to honor what it is that you say and trust. So believing in yourself and your ability to figure things out is going to be really helpful. You don't have to know all the answers, but having the ability to be agile and adaptable and flexible when situations arise means that you can figure it out. You can absolutely figure it out. So when it comes to these skills that you can develop, these are things that you can start to develop on your own. Developing leadership skills doesn't happen by chance. It happens by planning, intention, and commitment. Ideally, organizations would be providing development opportunities and teaching and training and coaching for new leaders, but that doesn't always happen. Think about leaders that you've admired in the past and ones that you haven't. What about their style or their presence worked or didn't work? Sometimes leaders are poor leaders, not because they don't want to be good at what they do, but just because they don't know how. This has been a bugbear of mine for a while, and the more and more I'm working with organizations and putting together corporate programs for organizations, the more I recognize the need for coaching for individuals. And sometimes it isn't forthcoming from the organization, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't go for it. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't seek out the coaching and support that you need. I'm currently enrolling into my high touch one to one coaching program. And I say coaching program, but I want to make the distinction here because it isn't just a pure coaching program. This is a program that blends strategy, so helping you be strategic with where you're going in your career, with skill building, giving you the tools and the insight required for you to build the soft skills that are going to make you an excellent leader. And of course, the coaching, where you are going to have the time and space to really explore some of the specific day-to-day challenges that you're experiencing and come away with some tools that you can use and apply in the future to help you to be able to execute in your job. So this is very, very involved. It's very high touch. I want to partner with you to equip you for what is to come in your career. I'm able to tap into a lot of my experience as a business owner and also from my experience as a corporate lawyer and as a sole legal counsel within a startup environment. I've had a lot of iterations in my career and I have built a lot of knowledge and understanding and varied skill set that I like to draw upon when I am working with my clients. So if you are somebody who is new to leadership, you're on your way to leadership, and you know that as you get the title, that is now the beginning of the next journey, and you want the right support to be able to show up fully as an authentic leader, join the coaching waitlist at careerchangemakers.com/waitlist. I just want to close out by encouraging you and saying that great leaders are not born, they are developed. You might just need somebody to support you in unlocking all of that amazing potential that you have. So that's all from me today. Go over to careerchangemakers.com/waitlist to get yourself on the waitlist, and then we can have a conversation about whether the program might be a good fit for you. And other than that, please do leave a rating and review on the podcast. As you leave the reviews and people find the show, we then grow. So until next time, look after yourself and keep moving toward your career goals. Bye.